Hey dolls, I need to tell you a little secret. Okay, so the thing is, I'm not a true gamer girl. I mean, sure, my tarnish can stand in this arena, not be dead, but it's just as barren as my heart. Yes, Silent Hill 2 is a superb story of a man who has done the one thing his psyche could not handle. But is it gonna win an Emmy? Lo, what I have kept from you all this time is that I am, in fact, a fake gamer girl. I enjoy the girly games, and there has been this one girly gacha game that has captured my attention all year long. I've been brainstorming on how to approach it on this channel. Yeah, that's my problem, brainstorming and not getting the storm out of my brain in more ways than one. I know my age is practically wizened. Right now I have a cold, and that's not helping me sound youthful or anything like that. But hey, when I was young, otome games did not leave their native countries to get an English release. Visual novels were a hard sell until the last decade, and I'm not going to let my age get in the way of my enjoyment and playing them. My bank, though, is a whole other story. Love and Deepspace is the latest otome mobile gacha game from Infold Games, formerly known as Paper Games, the same developers behind the Dress Up Nikki series. I mentioned Infinity Nikki is one of my most anticipated games, and it comes out soon, and I've already pre-registered for it. I cannot wait. Now, what sets Love and Deepspace apart from all other otome games is that this is the first one with full 3D models, including the protagonist, which you can customize. So, where in other visual novel otome games where there's a significant scene, it'll be just a nice, lovely illustration that may have a little bit of animation to it, but in Love and Deepspace, you get a full-on animated cutscene, and some of these are pretty spicy, considering it's rated 12+. Hey, I'm prioritizing getting this video up as soon as possible, so I just want to let you know this video is going to be very brief. I'm also going to be jumping back and forth with some of the story here. Obligatory spoiler warning, blah, 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 but you know, this is a game that's going to be going on for a while, and we've just touched the surface. But in the meantime, a brief summary of the main story. You are the latest hunter to join the Hunters Association, a government organization that formed after the Chrono Rift catastrophe 14 years prior, where monsters known as Wanderers fell out of a wormhole known as the Deepspace Tunnel. Around this time, special powers awaken in people known as evil to help combat the Wanderers. Wanderers contain protocores inside them, a crystal shard of powerful energy. With this as a new resource, society slowly rebuilds utilizing protocore energy. After the sudden death of the woman who raised you since the catastrophe, you learn that you have a near mythical protocore in your heart called an Aether Core. The Aether Core is sought out by many organizations, including the largest and shadiest one, Onykinus. While knowing that if anyone were to find out that you have an Aether Core in your heart is a threat to your safety and those around you, you have a burning desire to learn more about your past and find other fragments of the Aether Core before they fall into the wrong hands. And as this is an otome game, romance is all around you. When the game was first launched back in January of this year, there were only 3 love interests in the story. The first we meet is Xavier, a mysterious and sleepy hunter who is also a part of the association but seems to largely act independently. His evil is light and is exceptionally skilled with a sword. He also moonlights as the legendary hunter Lumiere, who frequently targets Onykinus and other Tenebrae protocore smugglers. Thing is though, Lumiere is the first hunter to kill a wanderer in the catastrophe 14 years ago, so he should be in his 40s, but Xavier's like in his early 20s. Or is he? Next up is Zane, a cardiologist at Oxo Hospital, and is not only your doctor, but an old childhood friend you knew briefly as a kid post-catastrophe. He'd been out of your life for years as he went off to med school, and is now back in it as your doctor, tied to the Hunters Association due to his expertise on protocore syndrome, a disease that can occur to overexposure from protocores. Zane's evil is ice, and is connected to his emotions. If he fails to remain stoic, his evil consumes him. Zane rarely gets any sleep, as he has been haunted by monster-infested nightmares since the Chrono Rift catastrophe. But thankfully, they're only dreams and not a glimpse into another reality or anything. The last of the original 3 love interests, but certainly not least, is the celebrated artist with a flame evil named Raphael. He's more extroverted and playful than the other love interests. While there was a brief moment where you did bump into him in the city, your paths intertwine again when one of his paintings is under investigation by the association. The painting induced hallucinations and even contained a wanderer. You get close to Raphael and he seems to know you from long ago and a promise the two of you made, but you can't remember it. Despite how strange he is, you can't help but find yourself drawn to him. As you get closer, you learn that Raphael is a Lemurian, a race of merfolk that once resided in the ancient underwater kingdom. The kingdom fell long ago due to the sea god being betrayed by a human woman he formed an unbreakable bond with. Raphael is descended from some of the survivors who want to honor and avenge Lemuria's memory. Perhaps his connection to the sea god is deeper than anyone could imagine. And the 4th love interest was introduced on July 15th, Sylus, the head of Anakinus, a dark organization with ties in every major company and field that is of high interest to the Hunters Association for Protocore Smuggling and the group's interest in the Aether Core. However, not much is known about the group and its mysterious leader. Your search into the Aether Core leads you to Anakinus, which is located in the N109 zone, a no-limits area that ever since the catastrophe, crime has been rampant and is considered unsafe to enter. With the help of Xavier and Raphael, you managed to get into the N109 zone and come face to face with Sylus. What you weren't expecting is that Sylus also seems to know you on a more intimate level, but he's upset that you don't remember him and tries to get you to resonate with him. Sylus's evil is dark energy, and just like you have an Aether Core, so does he. Despite his criminal leanings, you can't help but feel yourself being pulled towards him and wanting to know more of this mysterious past you share. Love in Deepspace has been doing incredibly well since it launched in late January of this year and is a huge hit in China, having an Olympic gold medalist as one of its players. She's a Raphael girl from what I've heard, and even surpassed Douyin, Chinese TikTok, as the #1 app in China for a time. This popularity increased when Sylus was introduced, especially in foreign markets like the US, that it boosts the global revenue in the month of July to surpass Genshin Impact. And like many games of its ilk, Love in Deepspace has events around the love interest's birthdays. Raphael was the first one to have his birthday event, but since it was in early March, a month and a half after the game launched, I don't recall seeing much fanfare online over it. But when Zane's came around in September, I was seeing all sorts of fan events pop up in real-world China just to celebrate a fictional character's birthday. There were drone shows dedicated to his birthday. I'm not familiar with international fans and their fandoms, but I've never seen fervor for a game. Now, when it was just the original 3 love interests, I was a Zane girly. I'm still very fond of him, but I have to confess, I converted to Sylus basically when he came on scene. Seriously, this is one man you shouldn't take lightly. Otome games tend to have a very limited audience, and this man has been pulling in players who normally aren't interested in these sorts of games. I started seeing quite a few guys stream this game when he was announced.
When 2 snakes are devouring each other, one will inevitably be crowned the victor.
Okay. Bro, I need to get this fucking heart rate monitor off. That is terrible. Holy shit.
Hell, as soon as they revealed his long-awaited upcoming myth card, I got the sudden energy to produce a video as fast as possible. That's a real alpha for ya. Sylus's voice is the best in the English dub, and it's really upsetting to know that the actors are underneath NDA and that they have not officially announced the English voice cast. Some people have figured out who some of the actors are, but you know they would come forward and they would be getting quite the career boost, I think, for it being known that they're voicing these guys. I could go on and on about Sylus. I'm trying hard not to, because I want to get this video out pretty quickly. The thing is, though, they just had to have his myth card event happen 2 days after the Cat Butler event ended. I already spent a good deal of my free gems I had saved up on the Cat Butler event. Yes, I do have Sylus's Cat Butler card as well as Zane's, but still, Now, most gacha games rerun events or have opportunities to give those who missed out the first time a shot to be able to grab those cards. I'm sure the same thing will happen with Love in Deepspace. It just hasn't had a chance yet because this is the game's first year. And hey, I know we all hate that in order to get these limited time cards, I'm just gonna call them cards. They're called memories in the game, but I'm calling them cards. It often means we have to hand over actual money. Now, I don't want to spend any time on the ethics of microtransactions. It is sometimes a necessary evil, but then at the same time, it's also like, considering how large the global player base is, if you were to just have people be able to, after the event, just purchase the card at any time, you'd still make a pretty decent chunk of change that way. The thing though with the myth cards is that they come with a lot, and to have some of those be limited runs only with an event is a little frustrating because they come with lore, they come with a skin of their own. For me, with the ones that are exclusive to the events only, I have Raphael's God of Tides myth pair, as well as Zane's Master of Fate. I do not have Xavier's Lumiere, which really sucks because Lumiere is frequently mentioned in the main story, and I would really like to know the lore of that character a little more. And if you want to be able to unlock the story, the lore that's associated with that pair, you have to have both cards and you have to level them up to level 60. Having a myth pair, you unlock a companion. You cannot get your corresponding matching outfit for that companion to use in combat unless you actually do fork over real money for it, because in order for you to get that skin, you have to purchase gems that can only be purchased with real money. There's no other way to do it. You have to fork over the cash somehow. It sucks. And it really just sucks because this is sort of like exploiting players' FOMO, especially considering that a lot of players came into this halfway through the year when Sylus was announced, so they missed out on Raphael, Xavier's, and Zane's myth pair, at least for now. I do believe those pairs will be run again next year. Anyway, to segue awkwardly into new cards, there's still more love interest to make an appearance down the road. There's at least one other who is set to join the roster, and everyone believes, we all know who it is, it's Caleb. Caleb is your closest childhood friend who was an orphan of the Chrono Rift catastrophe that was raised by the same old lady as you. He was a fighter pilot with the Deepspace Aviation Administration who has flown into the Deep Space Tunnel. Keyword is was, because he's assumed to have died in the same attack that killed the woman who raised you. So when the 2.0 update happened, this was the same update that brought Sylus into the main game. Players noticed some changes that was done to Caleb's phone profile, where there is now a call history, something that wasn't there before. And there's also some symbolism that people have taken notice of. So Xavier has a bond event where you are at a claw machine, and one of the plushies that you can see in the background is this Grumpy Crow plush that would later be one of Sylus's exclusive plushies to collect. There's a little apple plushie that people have noticed, and Caleb's phone profile pic, as well as the charm on his dog tag, is that of an apple, further suggesting he's going to be coming back. A lot of people are speculating that he likely might be coming back around the 1-year anniversary, which is a little over a month from now. Now, I have this theory. This is purely speculation, but I have a theory. So once Sylus was added, the memories menu changed where his name appears underneath the other love interests with a line separating the two. And I noticed he was placed underneath Xavier. Doesn't seem like much, but let me explain. So we know Xavier is Lumiere, who recently destroyed a bunch of Anakinus' smuggled protocores. Sylus is the leader of Anakinus. So there's this planet, either in the future or in an alternate reality known as Phylos, where the citizens of Phylos can basically live eternal as long as the protocore at the center of the planet always has energy. And Xavier is the crown prince of this planet. Sylus is Phylos' most wanted criminal with the largest bounty on his head. Xavier's evil is light, and Sylus's evil is dark energy. So Sylus is a foil to Xavier. And this makes me wonder if future love interests will also be foils to the other two love interests. So after Xavier, you have Zane, and Caleb is currently a decent counterpart for Zane. They're both childhood friends of yours, and Zane's a doctor, a healer, Caleb's a fighter pilot, a soldier if you will. At the end of the main story that was available until July, Raphael meets with a man in the shadows who, in the English dub at least, shares the same voice as Caleb. He also sort of resembles him too, but I've heard they have different voice actors in other dubs. I don't know this for certain though, but that's what I've heard. It could go either way. The Man in the Shadows is from Ever, a group that, as the story goes along, is tied with a lot of companies that are connected to illegal activities and experiments associated with protocores, including the Aether Core experiments you were a part of. Ever seems to be being built up as the true antagonist of this story. Ever is also stated to have ties in aviation. Caleb is a pilot. If my thinking is correct, that means we may have 6 in total, and it makes me wonder who Raphael's foil might be. Hey, time will tell. Hey dolls, thank you so much for watching. I know this isn't a very long video. I just wanted to keep it quick and simple, get it out there. I am a little sick though, but I will be back soon. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. You've been a doll.